Just talk us through the Lego one.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
so you can tell me all the group members next time, right?
Okay, yeah. Okay, so we did a concentric castle, and these were supposed to be rounded, but I couldn't do rounded walls with Lego. I just tried my best. Okay, so the definition of a concentric castle is a stone castle with at least 2 rings of outer walls called concentric curtains. Now the second concentric curtain is this one. It guards the inside, and it is always higher than the first one. The strengths of this are it has many different layers which create many different obstacles, and attackers need to penetrate at least 2 walls and often pass through a heavily defended gatehouse and drawbridge. It has a higher inner wall, and that was an advantage for archers firing at the enemy. Lookout points had a better view across the surrounding countryside. This was because of the symmetrical shape. This meant you needed less men to defend a castle because you needed less people to act as lookouts. Overall, concentric castles were nearly impossible to attackers and invaders. The only remaining option was to besiege the castle and starve the occupants out. Okay, so some of the weaknesses. They were phenomenally expensive to build, really expensive. And also they took a significant amount of time to build. They needed years rather than just weeks for the basic Motte and Bailey castle. Often they took so long that by the time they were finished, they weren't needed any longer. Yeah, okay. So, also, concentric designs became a victim of their own success. They were so strong that intruders would try to starve out the castle by laying it to siege rather than mounting a full-scale attack. This strategy made a mockery of the huge amounts of money spent on elaborate defenses. Okay, so now for some defenses. You simply can't over-exaggerate the defensive capabilities of concentric castle designs. Any individual wishing to attack the castle would have to run a real gauntlet of hazards and obstacles in order to reach the center of the castle, here, and capture the fortress for themselves. To seize the castle, you'd need to breach the second inner curtain wall. However, archers would have been firing at you from atop the wall. Yeah. You'd be a very easy target, and there would be nowhere to hide. So attacking the castle seems quite hopeless. How could you overcome such defenses? If your answer is to camp outside and starve the inhabitants out, it's not a bad idea. However, most concentric castles were equipped to overcome siege. These castles had wells built at the center for water supplies, and some advanced designs were built along the sea. The sea gates of Harlech Castle ingeniously allowed food and provisions to be brought to the castle by ship rather than by foot, bypassing those besieging the castle, and meaning that the castle could survive almost indefinitely.
So we'll pause there and then you can talk about the next one next lesson. That means you can take away things. Can I have you sheets? And I'll serve them together.
In our group, there's Amir, me, Adam, Oliver, and Salman who's recording. And basically, we'll do a concentric castle. So the definition of a concentric castle is a stone castle with at least 2 rings of outer walls, one inside the other. And here are some strengths. Many different layers are created, and many different obstacles. Attackers need to penetrate at least 2 walls and often pass through a heavily defended gatehouse. A higher inner wall was an advantage for archers firing at the enemy. Lookout points had a better view across the surrounding countryside. This was because the symmetrical shape. This meant you needed less men to defend the castle because you needed less people to act as lookouts.
Okay. Some of the weaknesses of the concentric castle was they were phenomenally expensive to build. They took significant time to build. They needed years rather than just weeks for a basic Motte and Bailey castle. Often it took so long to build that by the time they were finished, they weren't needed any longer. This is the case for many of Edward's first castles in Wales, including Newmarket.
Overall, concentric designs were